Captain Kang Daeho stood on the bridge of his ship, watching the stars streak past in hyperspace. He had been traveling through space for 5 years now, ever since Earth joined the Galactic Council. It still felt strange sometimes being out here among aliens who came from worlds he had only dreamed about as a child. The communication panel beeped. His second officer, Lieutenant Shin Yuna, turned to him with a smile. "Message from home, Captain. Your daughter sent another video." Daeho's stern face softened. Jiwoo was only 7 years old, and she sent him videos every week from the colony where she lived with his sister. He played the message. Jiwoo's bright face filled the screen, talking excitedly about her school trip to the new education station near the border colonies. She would be gone for 2 weeks, she said. She missed him. She loved him. "Send a reply," Daeho said. "Tell her to have fun and stay safe." The Galactic Council had very specific rules about humans. When Earth first made contact with alien species, the Council studied human history carefully. They saw the wars, the violence, the destruction humans had caused to their own planet. The Council was scared. They decided that humans could join the galactic community, but only with controls. Every human who traveled in space had to have a special implant in their brain. The Council called it an emotional suppression protocol. It was supposed to stop humans from getting too angry or violent. The implant would activate when someone felt extreme emotions, calming them down automatically. The Council said it was for everyone's safety. Daeho touched the small scar behind his ear where his implant sat. He hated it, but he understood why it existed. Humans had done terrible things to each other throughout history. Maybe the Council was right to be careful. Ambassador Choi Minho had argued against the implants at first. He said humans had evolved beyond their violent past, that they could control themselves without technology in their brains. But the Council refused to negotiate. No implants meant no space travel, so every human agreed to the procedure. 5 years had passed peacefully. Humans proved themselves valuable to the galactic community. They were creative problem solvers, excellent engineers, and surprisingly good diplomats. The Council members slowly relaxed around them. High Arbiter Velthar, the bird-like alien who led the Council, often praised humanity's contribution to galactic peace. "See?" Counselor Brexton would say in council meetings. "The protocols work. Humans are stable now, controlled." But they never really tested those controls. Not truly. The alarm sounded on Daeho's ship. Lieutenant Yuna jumped in her seat. "Captain, we're receiving a distress signal. It's coming from the education station near Colony Cluster 7. Daeho's heart skipped. That was where Jiwoo was visiting. "Drop out of hyperspace. Get me that signal." The ship shuddered as it returned to normal space. The distress signal came through clearly now. Screaming, weapons fire. "Then silence, Captain," Yuna said quietly. The station was attacked. Ships identified as Kryn Syndicate. "They're slavers, sir, slavers." The word made Daeho's blood run cold. The Kryn Syndicate operated in lawless space, capturing rare species to sell to wealthy collectors. They had never targeted humans before. Humans were supposed to be protected by the Council. "Get me a full report," Daeho ordered. His voice was steady, but something felt wrong. His chest felt tight. The implant behind his ear grew warm. The report came in piece by piece. The education station had been boarded. Most of the staff was dead. The children were taken, 43 children from various species. Among them 20 human children, including Jiwoo. Daeho sat down slowly. His hands gripped the armrests of his chair. The warmth behind his ear became heat. The implant was activating, trying to calm him down. But something was wrong. "The heat kept building, sir," Yuna said carefully. "Are you all right?" "Get me the Council," Daeho said. "Now." Ambassador Minho appeared on the screen within minutes. He looked tired. "Daeho, I know. I just heard about the attack. I'm so sorry. Where is my daughter? We're working on it." The Kryn took the children into unclaimed space. The Council is preparing a diplomatic response. Diplomatic response? Daeho's voice was quiet. Too quiet. "My daughter was kidnapped by slavers and they want to talk about it. I understand your frustration, but we have to follow proper channels. The Council is discussing options. How long will discussions take?" Minho hesitated. "These things are delicate. Maybe a few months to negotiate." "Months." Daeho stood up. The implant behind his ear was burning now. He could feel it trying to suppress his emotions, trying to force calm into his mind. but it felt like trying to hold back an ocean with a paper dam. My 7-year-old daughter is in the hands of slavers and the council needs months to discuss it? Daiho, please. I know this is hard, but you need to trust the process. The implant should help you stay calm. The implant, Daiho said slowly, is malfunctioning. He cut the connection. Lieutenant Yuna was staring at him with wide eyes. Captain? Send a message, Daiho said. Encrypted channel. Send it to every human ship in the sector. Every human who has family on that station. Tell them what happened. Tell them where the Kryn took our children. And tell them to meet me at coordinates I'm about to send you. Sir, the council will order us to stand down. I know. Daiho looked at her. Something in his eyes made her take a step back. It was not anger exactly. It was something colder. Something focused. Send the message anyway. Over the next 2 days, ships began arriving at the rendezvous point. Not military vessels. Just ordinary ships, freighters, transport vessels, science ships. 17 ships in total. Their captains all had one thing in common. Their children were among the 43 taken by the Kryn commander Lee Jinho arrived in an old patrol boat. His daughter was 10 years old. Engineer Park Suna came in a cargo hauler. Her son was 8. One by one they came. Parents who had been scattered across the sector, all converging on one point in space. Dr. Yoon Hana contacted Daiho from the council medical station. Your implant readings are off the charts, she said. It should have burned out by now. How are you still functioning? I don't know, Daiho admitted. It hurts, but I can't stop. Not until Jiwoo is safe. You're not alone, Hana said quietly. I'm reading similar patterns from 17 other humans, all parents of the taken children. Your implants are all failing. What does that mean? It means the council was wrong. They thought the implants controlled your rage, but they were just containing it, compressing it. And now? She paused. Now it's breaking free. The council sent another message. High Arbiter Velthar himself appeared on screen, addressing all 17 human ships. You are ordered to stand down immediately. Any unauthorized action will result in expulsion from the Galactic Council. Do you understand? Captain Daiho looked at the other ship captains on his communication array. He saw the same expression on every face. Determination, love, wrath. We understand perfectly, Daiho said to the High Arbiter. You can revoke whatever you want. After we get our children back, he cut the transmission. Around him his crew was silent. They had never seen their captain like this. They had never seen any human like this. The implants were supposed to prevent this exact situation, but the council had made a critical mistake. They thought they understood human violence. They studied wars and conflicts. They analyzed aggression and rage, but they never studied what happened when you threatened a human's child. They never understood the difference between anger and wrath. Set course for Kryn territory, Daiho ordered. Maximum speed. 17 ships turned as one, jumping into hyperspace. Behind them, the Galactic Council erupted into chaos. In 5 years of human membership, they had never disobeyed a direct order. On the bridge of his ship, Daiho stared at the stars. His implant was no longer burning. It had completely failed, and without it he could feel everything. The fear for his daughter, the determination to save her. And underneath it all, something the council had tried so hard to suppress. The absolute, unstoppable certainty that he would do anything to bring his child home. The galaxy was about to learn what that really meant. The Galactic Council chamber was filled with worried voices. Representatives from hundreds of alien species argued about what to do with the 17 human ships heading toward Kryn territory. High Arbiter Velthar raised his wing-like arm for silence. This is unprecedented, he said. In 5 years, humans have never defied us. The emotional suppression protocols were supposed to prevent exactly this kind of reckless behavior. Counselor Brexton, the insect-like alien, clicked his mandibles nervously. We should send security forces to stop them. They are a danger to themselves and to galactic peace. Ambassador Choi Minho stood up from the human delegation area. You don't understand what you're dealing with. Explain it to us, Ambassador, Velthar said coldly. Minho took a deep breath. The people on those ships are parents. Their children were stolen. In human psychology, there is nothing more powerful than a parent's need to protect their child. Throughout our history, we have documented cases of mothers lifting vehicles that weigh thousands of pounds to free trapped children, fathers running into burning buildings. Parents fighting off dangerous animals with their bare hands. Primitive emotional responses, Brexiton said dismissively. The implants suppress such irrationality. The implants, Minho said carefully, appear to have failed. The chamber erupted in shocked voices. Velthar demanded silence again. Failed? That's impossible. The suppression technology has worked perfectly for 5 years. It worked because you never truly tested it, Minho said. You saw humans get frustrated at work, annoyed in traffic, maybe angry at small injustices. The implants handled those normal emotions easily. But this? He gestured to the star chart showing the human ships. This is different. You took their children. Back on the medical station, Dr. Yoon Hana was examining data that terrified her. She had pulled the records for every human in space with a suppression implant. The readings were disturbing. She contacted Ambassador Minho on a private channel. We have a serious problem. I've been analyzing the implant data from the parents heading to Kryn space. The implants didn't just fail. They burned out completely. The emotional intensity literally melted the circuits. How is that possible? Minho asked. The implants work by dampening electrical signals in the brain associated with extreme emotions. But what I'm seeing in these parents suggests their emotional state exceeded anything we thought biologically possible. The technology couldn't handle it. What about the other humans in space? Are their implants at risk? Hana pulled up more data. That's what worries me. I'm seeing fluctuations in over 300 human implants. All of them are people who have children. Word is spreading about the kidnapping. Parents across human space are experiencing elevated emotional states. Not enough to burn out the implants yet, but close. What are you saying? I'm saying the council created a pressure cooker. For 5 years, they've been compressing normal human emotional responses. Every time someone got angry and the implant activated, it didn't eliminate the emotion. It just pushed it down, stored it. And now, with their children in danger, that pressure is finding a way out. On the bridge of his ship, Captain Kang Daeho was coordinating with the other ships in his small fleet. Commander Lee Jinho's face appeared on screen looking exhausted. I haven't slept in 2 days, Jinho admitted. Every time I close my eyes, I see Haeyeon's face. I keep thinking about what those slavers might be doing to her. Don't think about that, Daeho said firmly. Focus on getting her back. We're 12 hours from Kryn territory. Another face appeared on the communication array. Engineer Park Suna, her eyes red from crying but her jaw set with determination. My ship's weapons are outdated, but I've been modifying them. If we're going to fight, I want to hit them hard. We're not starting a war, Daeho said. We're just getting our children and leaving. Lieutenant Han Jiwon, the youngest captain among them, laughed bitterly. Captain, the Kryn won't just hand them over. We're going to have to fight. We all know it. Daeho was quiet for a moment. She was right. The Kryn syndicate was brutal and well-armed. 17 small ships against their fortress and fleet was suicide by any tactical analysis, but none of them cared about the odds. Then we fight, Daeho said simply. Back at the council, they were still debating. Trade Minister Quallen, an aquatic species, made a suggestion. Perhaps we should negotiate with the Kryn, offer them payment for the children's return. Absolutely not, Minho said sharply. That would legitimize their crime, and it wouldn't stop the humans anyway. Why not? Velthar asked. Surely if we can resolve this peacefully, they will stand down. You still don't understand. Those parents don't want a diplomatic solution. They want their children back, and they want to make sure the Kryn never do this again. To anyone. Counselor Brexton made a disgusted sound. Such violence. This is exactly why we needed the implants. No, Minho said quietly. This is why you should never have taken the implants for granted. You thought you controlled human aggression, but aggression and protective instinct are not the same thing. You never learned the difference. Dr. Hana sent another urgent message to the council. I need to speak to the full assembly. Now. They granted her access. She appeared on the main viewing screen, and every council member could see the worry on her face. I've completed my analysis of the failed implants. The results are disturbing. Tell us, Velthar commanded. The implants were designed based on studies of human criminal aggression, violence driven by greed, hatred, or simple cruelty. That kind of aggression is chaotic and unfocused, easy to disrupt with the right technology. She pulled up brain scans. But what I'm seeing in these parents is completely different. This isn't aggression. It's purpose. It's focused, controlled, and incredibly powerful. We don't understand the distinction, Brexton said. Imagine the difference between a forest fire and a laser beam. Both involve heat and energy, but one is wild and destructive while the other is concentrated and precise. Criminal aggression is the forest fire, but a parent protecting their child? That's the laser beam, and our implants were never designed to stop it. The council members shifted uncomfortably. What are you suggesting? Velthar asked. I'm suggesting that if the humans reach Kryn territory, you're about to see something you've never witnessed before. You've studied human wars, yes. You've seen what humans do to each other over resources and ideology, but you've never seen what humans do when their children are threatened, and I don't think the Kryn are prepared for it either. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Kryn territory. Their sensors immediately detected the slaver station. It was massive, protected by over 100 ships of various sizes and species. A fortress in space, Commander Jinho opened a channel to all the human ships. Everyone see what we're up against? I see it, Park Suna replied. We're outnumbered 6-1. Worse odds than I expected, Lieutenant Jiwan said. Anyone want to reconsider? There was a long silence. Then Captain Deho spoke. My daughter is in that station. I'm going in. Anyone who wants to leave, I understand. No judgment. Not a single ship turned away. Well then, Jinho said, I guess we're doing this. Any last words before we probably die? Deho thought about Jiwoo, her smile, her laugh, the way she hugged him before he left for his last deployment. Just one, he said. Remember why we're here. We're not here to win. We're not here to survive. We're here to get our children back. Everything else is secondary. The other captains agreed. Lieutenant Shin Yuna on Deho's bridge looked at her captain with concern. Sir, your vital signs are elevated. Heart rate, blood pressure, adrenaline, all off the charts. I know, Deho said. I can feel it. The implant is completely offline. There's nothing regulating your emotional state. Good. Deho stood up from his command chair. I don't want regulation. I don't want control. I want my daughter back. He looked at his crew. They had served with him for years. They knew him as a calm, rational commander, but the man standing before them now was different. Still focused, still rational, but burning with something they had never seen. All ships, Deho said into the communication array, begin attack pattern. Protect each other. Fight smart, and no matter what happens, we get those children out. The 17 human ships accelerated toward the Kryn station. On the council viewing screens, Ambassador Minho watched with a mix of pride and terror. High Arbiter Velthar stood beside him. This is madness, Velthar said. They will all die. Maybe, Minho replied. But they'll die trying to save their children. In human culture, there is no more noble death. Your species is insane. Minho smiled sadly. No, we're just parents. And you're about to learn what that really means. The Kryn warlord Vexkar watched the approaching human ships with amusement. He was a large reptilian creature with scales that had been decorated with scars from 100 battles. His station, called the auction house, was his fortress. No one had ever attacked it successfully. 17 small ships, he said to his second-in-command. Are the humans stupid or suicidal? Perhaps both, Warlord, his officer replied. Should we prepare defenses? Vexkar waved a clawed hand dismissively. Send out 2 squadrons. That should be more than enough to handle this nuisance. I want to finish cataloging the new merchandise before the auction tonight. The merchandise he referred to were the 43 children locked in the holding cells deep within the station. The Kryn specialized in selling rare species to wealthy collectors. Human children were especially valuable right now. Exotic, intelligent, and recently added to the galactic market. He had no idea what he had really taken. The first wave of Kryn fighters launched from the station. 20 heavily armed ships against 17 small human vessels. The tactical computer predicted the battle would last less than 10 minutes. It was wrong. Captain Kang Deho watched the enemy fighters approach. His tactical officer began calling out targets, but Deho already had the entire battle planned in his mind. Years of training and combat experience crystallized into perfect clarity. The fear was gone. The doubt was gone. Only purpose remained. All ships pattern Delta 7, he ordered. The human ships split into 3 groups, each one targeting a different section of the enemy formation simultaneously. It was a maneuver that required perfect coordination and timing. They had never practiced it together. They had never even flown together before. But somehow, every captain knew exactly where to be. Commander Lee Jinho's ship took the lead position. First blood is mine, he said calmly. His weapons locked onto an enemy fighter. The shot was perfect. The Kryn ship exploded. The enemy fighters broke formation, confused by the unexpected aggression. Engineer Park Suna's cargo hauler should have been the easiest target. It was slow, poorly armed, and clearly modified in a hurry. The Kryn fighters focused on her ship. That was a mistake. Suna had spent 2 days retrofitting her cargo hauler. She had removed everything non-essential. Life support was minimal. Crew quarters were gone. Even the escape pods were removed. Everything was sacrificed to make room for weapons and shield generators. Her ship could barely sustain life, but it could hit like a battleship. "Come and get me," she whispered, letting 3 enemy fighters get close. Then she activated the weapons arrays she had hidden in the cargo bays. The concentrated fire destroyed 2 fighters instantly and crippled the third. Lieutenant Han Jiwon was the youngest captain, but she flew with the skill of someone who had nothing to lose. Her ship danced between enemy fire, providing cover for the other human vessels. Every move was calculated to protect her fellow parents. The Kryn pilots had fought many battles. They were experienced mercenaries from a dozen different species. But they had never fought anyone like this. The humans didn't fight like they wanted to win. They fought like they had already accepted death and were just making sure to take the enemy with them. Warlord Vexikar watched the battle unfold on his screens. His amusement turned to anger. What is happening? Why are they winning? Unknown, Warlord. They fight with unusual aggression. They're not even trying to preserve their own ships and then destroy them. Send all fighters. The remaining Kryn ships launched. Now it was over 100 against 17. The tactical advantage was overwhelming, but numbers didn't account for the fury of a parent defending their child. Commander Jinho's ship took multiple hits. His shields failed. Hull breaches on 3 decks. His crew was yelling damage reports, but he didn't slow down. He aimed his crippled ship directly at a Kryn command carrier. "This is for my daughter," he said quietly, and rammed through the enemy blockade at full speed. His ship survived somehow. Barely. But the path was clear. Go. Jinho shouted to the other ships. "Get to the station." Captain Daeho didn't hesitate. His ship and 5 others broke through the gap Jinho had created. The station's defense systems activated, filling space with weapons fire. Park Suna's ship took the brunt of it, her heavy shields protecting the smaller vessels. "I can't hold this much longer," she called out. "You don't have to," Daeho replied. "Just get us close enough to dock." The human ships reached the station's hull. Magnetic clamps engaged, cutting torches activated. Within minutes they were inside. On the council viewing screens, the assembled aliens watched in stunned silence. High Arbiter Velthar's feathers were standing straight up, a sign of extreme agitation in his species. "This is impossible. They should all be dead." "They probably will be soon," Ambassador Minho said quietly, "but not before they try." Counselor Brexton clicked his mandibles anxiously. "What kind of species fights like this? With such disregard for their own survival? The kind that loves their children more than they fear death," Minho answered. Inside the station, Captain Daeho led a boarding party of 12 humans. They had basic weapons and minimal body armor. Against them were hundreds of Kryn guards, well-armed and defending their own territory. The first group of guards appeared around a corner. They opened fire immediately. Daeho felt 3 rounds hit him. His body armor stopped too. The third penetrated his shoulder. He barely noticed. He crossed the distance to the guards faster than they expected. His training took over. Disarm, strike, move. The first guard went down. The second tried to raise his weapon. Daeho broke the creature's arm and used him as a shield against the third. Behind him, his team fought with the same terrifying intensity. Lieutenant Shin Yuna took a blade to her shoulder but grabbed the weapon and used it on her attacker without hesitation. Engineer Kim Tae-hyun, whose son was somewhere in this station, literally tore through a reinforced door when it wouldn't open fast enough. The station's security feeds showed everything. Warlord Vexkar watched as 12 humans fought through his guards like a force of nature. They were wounded, bleeding. But they never stopped moving forward. "What are they?" he whispered. His security chief had no answer. They had fought many species. Warrior races. Predator species. But none of them fought like this. The humans didn't rage. They didn't roar or posture. They just moved forward with cold, absolute purpose. Dr. Yoon Hana, monitoring from the medical station, pulled up the vital signs of the boarding party. What she saw shouldn't have been possible. Heart rates that should have caused cardiac arrest. Adrenaline levels that should have been toxic. Pain signals that should have shut down motor functions. But they kept fighting. It's the protective instinct, she told the council members watching with her. When a human parent perceives their child in danger, the brain releases chemicals that override normal safety limits. Pain tolerance increases. Strength increases. The body literally transforms itself into a weapon. For how long? Velthar asked. Usually just a few minutes. Just long enough to fight off an immediate threat. She looked at the readings again. But these humans have maintained this state for over an hour now. I don't understand how. Because their children aren't safe yet, Ambassador Minho said simply. They won't stop until the threat is gone. Captain Deho reached a junction in the station's corridors. His tactical scanner showed 3 possible paths. His team was down to 8 people now. 4 had been too wounded to continue and were defending their entry point. Which way to the holding cells? Asked Lieutenant Yuna, blood dripping from her shoulder wound. Deho closed his eyes, listening. In the distance, he heard something. A sound so faint that it shouldn't have been audible through the metal walls and air recyclers. But he heard it anyway. A child crying. This way, he said, moving down the left corridor. They fought through 2 more groups of guards. Kim Taehyun was shot in the leg but refused to stop. He used his engineering tools as weapons, and they proved surprisingly effective against the Kryn armor. Finally, they reached the holding area. 20 guards stood between them and the cells. Behind those guards, Deho could see the force field keeping the prisoners inside. He could see movement. Small figures. Children, his daughter was in there. Something changed in Deho's eyes. The guards saw it and took a step back without meaning to. One of them had fought in wars across 3 systems. He had faced soldiers and monsters, but the look on the human's face made him feel genuine fear for the first time in his life. Move, Deho said quietly. The guards didn't move. They raised their weapons. What happened next, the security footage would later show, lasted exactly 47 seconds. 8 wounded humans against 20 armed guards. It should have been a slaughter, it was. Just not in the direction anyone expected. When the last guard fell, Deho walked to the control panel. His hands were shaking now. Blood covered his uniform from a dozen wounds, but his fingers found the right controls. The force fields deactivated. 43 children stumbled out. Human children. 3 alien younglings who had been taken alongside them. All of them scared, crying, but alive. Jiwoo saw her father and screamed, "Dad!" She ran to him. And Captain Kang Deho, the unstoppable warrior who had fought through an army, dropped to his knees and held his daughter. For just a moment the fury drained away. He was just a father who had found his child. The countdown clock showed 7 minutes and 43 seconds. Captain Kang Deho organized the children into groups, his mind working faster than it ever had before. The evacuation ships could only dock at 2 points on the station. They could make 3 trips before the station exploded. Simple math told a terrible story. 3 trips could save all the children and maybe half the adults who had come to rescue them. Lieutenant Shin Yuna understood immediately. You're planning to stay behind. Not just me, Deho said. He opened a channel to all the human teams scattered throughout the station. Listen carefully. We have 3 evacuation windows. First priority is all children. Second priority is anyone wounded enough that they can't fight. Third priority is our best pilots because those children need to get home safely. What about you, Captain? Commander Jinho asked over the communication link. I'll be on the last ship out, assuming there's room. There was silence. Everyone knew there wouldn't be room. Engineer Park Suna spoke up. I volunteer to stay. My ship is already too damaged to fly anyway. Suna, no. Another parent protested. My son needs to get home, Suna said firmly. I'll make sure every child reaches the evacuation ships. That's final. One by one, other voices joined in. Kim Taehyun, whose leg wound made him slow. Commander Jinho, who had the most combat experience and could hold off guards the longest. 4 other parents, each making the impossible choice to stay behind so the children could live. 6 adults would stay. 37 would go with the children. Dr. Yoon Hana, watching from the medical station, saw the decision being made. She opened a private channel to Ambassador Minho. We can't let them die. There has to be something we can do. What do you suggest? Minho asked quietly. We're hours away, even at maximum speed. Hana pulled up star charts, searching desperately for any ship closer to the Kryn station. Then she saw it. a council medical vessel called the Sanctuary. It was the fastest ship in the fleet, designed for emergency rescues. And it was only 20 minutes away at full speed. She burst into the council chamber without permission. "Hi, Arbiter! I need authorization to redirect the Sanctuary to the Kryn station coordinates." Velthar looked up from the viewing screens where they had been watching the human rescue operation. "That ship is on a diplomatic mission. We cannot simply—" "They have 8 minutes before that station explodes," Hana shouted. 6 humans are going to sacrifice themselves to save those children. The Sanctuary can get there in time if you authorize it right now. Counselor Brexton made a dismissive gesture. "They chose to go there against our orders. Why should we risk a valuable council asset to save them from their own recklessness?" Ambassador Minho stood up slowly. His voice was very quiet. "Because 3 of those children about to be saved are yours, Counselor." The chamber went silent. Brexton's mandibles clicked in confusion. "What?" "The Kryn didn't just take human children," Minho said. "They took 3 younglings from other species who were visiting the education station. One of them is from your world, Counselor. The humans are saving your child along with theirs." Hana pulled up the records on the main screen. 3 alien younglings taken alongside the human children. 1 insectoid, 1 aquatic, 1 from a crystalline species. The humans had found them in the holding cells and were evacuating them with their own children. High Arbiter Velthar stared at the screen. Then he made a decision. Redirect the Sanctuary. Maximum speed. Authorization code Velthar Prime 1. "But Arbiter," Brexton started. "Those humans are saving our children," Velthar said firmly. "We will save theirs. Move." On the station, the first evacuation ship docked. Captain Deho personally carried children aboard, counting each one. Jiwoo held his hand, refusing to let go. "Dad, come with us." "I will, sweetheart." "On the next ship. Promise?" He knelt down to look her in the eyes. Every instinct screamed at him to get on that ship with her, to ensure she reached safety. But there were still children here who needed protection. "I promise I'll do everything I can to come home to you." It wasn't a real promise, and Jiwoo was smart enough to know it. Tears ran down her face. "I love you, Daddy. I love you too. Now go. Be brave." Lieutenant Yuna took Jiwoo's hand and led her onto the ship. 14 children on the first transport. The ship detached and accelerated away from the station. 5 minutes and 30 seconds remained. Engineer Park Suna organized the second group of children. Her son Minho clung to her. "Mom, you're bleeding." She was. Multiple wounds from the fighting. But she smiled at him. "I'm okay, baby. You need to get on the ship now. Come with me." "I can't, not yet. Someone has to make sure all of you get out safely." She hugged him tightly, memorizing the feeling. The smell of his hair. The sound of his heartbeat. "You take care of yourself, okay? And tell your aunt I love her." "Mom, get on the ship, Minho. That's an order." He went, crying. The second evacuation ship launched with 16 children aboard. 3 minutes and 12 seconds remained. The last group gathered at the docking point. 13 children, including the 3 alien younglings. Commander Jinho carried the insectoid youngling who was injured and couldn't walk. The small creature reminded him of Counselor Brexton's species. "Don't worry, little one," Jinho said softly. "We're getting you home." Kim Taehyun limped along, helping move the last children toward the airlock. His leg wound was getting worse, but he kept going. Captain Deho brought up the rear, checking every corner for guards. They reached the evacuation point. The last ship was waiting. 2 minutes and 8 seconds remained. "Everyone on board," Deho ordered. The children filed onto the ship. The 3 alien younglings went with them, held carefully by human adults who had come on the evacuation ships to help. The 6 humans who had volunteered to stay behind gathered at the airlock. Park Suna was singing a lullaby to the insectoid youngling as she passed the small creature to a rescuer. Her voice was steady despite her wounds, despite knowing she had about 2 minutes to live. Jinho watched the last child board. "That's all of them. Captain, the ship is at capacity." Deho counted quickly. Every child was safe. Every single one. The mission was complete. Now it was just a question of whether the 6 of them could find somewhere to survive the explosion. "Seal the airlock," he said. "Get them out of here." The evacuation ship detached. Through the window, Deho could see his daughter's face pressed against the glass, crying. He put his hand up in a wave. The ship turned and accelerated away from the station. 1 minute and 47 seconds remained. The 6 humans headed for the station's command center. It was the most reinforced section of the station. If anywhere could survive the explosion, it would be there. It was a slim chance, but it was something. They ran through the corridors, the countdown echoing through the station's emergency systems. 1 minute, 45 seconds, 30 seconds. They reached the command center and sealed the door behind them. The room was empty, Warlord Vexkar having fled already. Kim Tae-hyun slumped against a wall, his leg finally giving out. Park Suna sat down beside him, exhausted from blood loss. Commander Jin-ho checked the station schematics one last time, hoping to find some escape pod or emergency system they had missed. There was nothing. Well, he said quietly, at least the kids are safe. Captain Daeho nodded. His thoughts were with Ji-woo. At least she would live. She would grow up. That was enough. 20 seconds. Then Kim Tae-hyun looked up at a sensor panel. Wait, there's a ship approaching fast. Probably Kryn reinforcements, Suna said tiredly. No, Kim said, reading the display more carefully. It's broadcasting council identification codes. It's the Sanctuary! Hope flared, painful and desperate. The Sanctuary was a medical vessel with advanced teleportation systems. But it was still 30 seconds away, and they had 15 seconds before the station exploded. 10 seconds. The command center's communication system activated. High Arbiter Velthar's voice came through. Human team, maintain your position. Locking onto your life signs now. 5 seconds. 4. 3. The world dissolved into light as the teleportation beam grabbed them. Daeho felt his molecules scatter and reassemble. For a fraction of a second, he existed in 2 places at once. Then he was on the Sanctuary's medical bay, solid floor beneath him. Through the window, he could see the Kryn station explode in a brilliant flash of light. They had made it. All of them. Every child. Every parent. Dr. Yoon Hana appeared beside him immediately, medical scanner in hand. Captain Daeho, stay still. You have multiple gunshot wounds and severe trauma. He didn't care about his wounds. The children? All safe. All 3 evacuation ships are secure and heading to council space. All of them? You're sure? Every single one, Hana confirmed. You did it. Captain Kang Daeho closed his eyes. The adrenaline was fading now. The impossible strength that had carried him through the station was gone. Pain flooded in, and he welcomed it. Pain meant he was alive. His daughter was safe. He let himself break then. Not from rage or fear, but from relief so intense it hurt worse than any wound. Tears ran down his face, and he didn't try to stop them. Engineer Park Suna was on another medical bed crying too. Commander Jin-ho sat with his head in his hands. Kim Tae-hyun was unconscious but stable. They had all given everything they had, and somehow, miraculously, they had all survived on the bridge of the Sanctuary. High Arbiter Velthar watched the medical. 2 weeks after the rescue, Captain Kang Daeho stood before the Galactic Council. His body had healed mostly, though he still walked with a slight limp from the bullet wounds. Dr. Yoon Hana said the limp would fade with time. The scars would not. The council chamber was packed with representatives from hundreds of species. Everyone wanted to witness this hearing. The human who had defied the council, invaded Kryn territory, and somehow survived. There were many questions about what punishment he would face. Ambassador Choi Min-ho stood beside Daeho. He had prepared a defense, arguments about justified action and proportional response. But he suspected none of it would matter. The council would make an example of the humans who had disobeyed. High Arbiter Velthar called the session to order. The massive chamber fell silent. Daeho stood straight, ready to accept whatever judgment came. He had his daughter back. That was all that mattered. Captain Kang Daeho, Velthar began, his voice echoing through the chamber. You violated 17 council protocols. You ignored direct orders from this assembly. You led an unauthorized military operation into unclaimed space. You destroyed a significant installation and caused the deaths of over 300 beings. Daeho said nothing. All of this was true. And you saved 43 children, Velthar continued, including 3 younglings from species represented on this council, who were taken alongside your own young. The Arbiter's feathers rustled, showing emotion. For 5 years, this council believed we understood humanity. We studied your history. We saw your wars, your violence, your capacity for destruction. We created the emotional suppression protocols to control what we perceived as your most dangerous trait. He paused, looking directly at Daeho. We were fools. The chamber erupted in shocked murmurs. Velthar raised his wing for silence. We did not understand what we were trying to control. We saw human anger as random violence. We missed the most important truth about your species. Counselor Brexton stood up. The insectoid's voice was unusually gentle. My nephew was among the children you saved. He told me what happened in those cells. When the Kryn guards came to take him for auction, a human child named Jiwoo stood in front of him. Your daughter, Captain. She told the guards they would have to take her first. Daeho felt his throat tighten. Jiwoo had never mentioned that. She was 7 years old, Brexton continued. Scared, but she protected my nephew anyway. Later, when you came to rescue them, you carried him out personally. You could have focused only on your own child, but you saved all of them. The counselor turned to address the full assembly. I advocated strongly for the suppression protocols. I believed humans were dangerous predators that needed to be controlled. I was wrong. What we witnessed was not predatory violence. It was protective love. Another council member stood, Trade Minister Quallen, the aquatic species. My daughter was on that station. She was visiting the education facility when the Kryn attacked. Engineer Park Suna carried her to the evacuation ship while bleeding from multiple wounds. When my daughter was scared, Park Suna sang to her, kept her calm, and Park Suna knew she would likely die on that station. Quallen's voice wavered with emotion. She stayed behind to make sure every child escaped safely. My child is alive because a human mother chose to sacrifice herself for younglings that were not even her own species. High Arbiter Velthar spoke again. This council made a grave error. We tried to suppress human emotions because we feared them, but we never asked ourselves what those emotions truly were. We saw anger and missed the love underneath it. We saw violence and missed the protection it represented. He gestured to a display screen. It showed footage from the station's security cameras. The humans fighting through corridors, taking wounds that should have stopped them, moving forward with impossible determination. We thought the suppression protocols controlled your rage, Velthar said. But what we witnessed on that station was not rage. Rage is hot, chaotic, destructive. What you displayed was cold, focused, purposeful. That was wrath, Captain. And there is a profound difference. The Arbiter's eyes met Daeho's. Rage destroys without discrimination. But wrath is love protecting itself. It is a parent defending their young. It is the oldest, strongest force in nature. And we were arrogant to think we could suppress it with technology. Ambassador Minho whispered to Daeho, I think this is going better than expected. Velthar continued. Therefore, this council announces the following decisions. First, the emotional suppression protocols are hereby abolished. All human implants will be deactivated immediately. We acknowledge that they were both ineffective and ethically wrong. The chamber buzzed with reactions. Velthar waited for quiet. Second, we formally recognize what we are calling the Daeho Doctrine. This doctrine states that protective instincts, particularly parental responses to threats against young, are not flaws to be suppressed, but natural rights to be respected. This applies to all species in the Council. Third, human forces will be integrated into Council security operations. Specifically, any operation involving the protection of young or vulnerable populations will include human personnel. Your species has demonstrated unique abilities in this area. Counselor Brexton added, Fourth, we are authorizing a joint task force to dismantle the Kryn Syndicate and all similar operations throughout the galaxy. This task force will be led by humans with support from Council resources. Daeho finally spoke. What about the punishment for our actions? Velthar made a sound that might have been a laugh. Punishment? Captain, you are being given a commendation for extraordinary service to the galactic community. Each member of your rescue team will receive the Council's highest honor for civilian bravery. But we violated protocols, ignored orders. Orders that should never have been given, Velthar said firmly. We were wrong to try to stop you. If we had understood what you were truly facing, we would have helped from the beginning. The insectoid mother whose daughter Park Suna had saved approached the podium. She spoke through a translator, her voice thick with emotion. In my species, we lay thousands of eggs. We think of survival in terms of numbers and percentages. Losing one offspring is regrettable but acceptable for the greater good. She looked at the humans in the chamber. But when I saw that human female dying, still singing to my daughter, I understood something profound. Humans do not think in percentages. Every child is irreplaceable to you. Every life has infinite value. She turned to the council. We should not have tried to change them. We should have learned from them. Over the next hour, the council detailed the new policies. All human implants would be removed within the month. A new security framework would be established, with humans playing a key role. Resources would be allocated to hunt down every slaver operation in known space. When the formal session ended, Captain Daiho was surrounded by council members wanting to thank him personally. He felt overwhelmed. He had expected punishment, not praise. Dr. Yoon Hana found him in the crowd. How are you feeling? Confused, he admitted. 2 weeks ago they wanted to expel us from the council. Now they're giving us medals. They learned something, Hana said. They saw what humans are really capable of when our children are threatened. And it scared them. But it also impressed them. Commander Lee Jinho approached with his daughter. She ran to Daeho and hugged him. Thank you for saving my dad, she said. Your dad saved my daughter too, Daeho replied. We saved each other. Park Suna arrived with her son. Her wounds had healed, but she moved carefully. Did you hear? They want us to lead the task force against the slavers. I heard, Daeho said. Are you interested? She smiled grimly. Oh, yes. We made a promise on that station. We're going to make sure no parent ever has to do what we did, and we're going to make sure the Kryn and everyone like them understand what happens when you threaten a child. Any child, Jinho added, not just human ones. Any child, Suna agreed. 6 months passed. The Human Protection Fleet, as it came to be called, dismantled 12 major slaver operations across 4 sectors. Their methods were simple and effective. No ransom was ever paid. No negotiation was ever attempted. They simply found the slavers, rescued the captives, and ensured the criminals faced justice. The message spread quickly through the criminal underworld. Take a child, any child, and the humans will find you. There will be no deal, no escape. Just parents with infinite determination and nothing to lose. The Kryn Syndicate tried to regroup twice. Both times human ships appeared within days. By the end of 6 months, the Kryn had effectively ceased to exist as an organization. Other species began to change their own policies on emotional regulation. The Council commissioned studies on protective instincts across different species. They found that while the intensity varied, every sentient species had some version of parental protective response. Some suppressed it for logical efficiency, others had never recognized its power. Ambassador Minho gave a speech at the Council's anniversary celebration. The chamber was packed with representatives from across the galaxy. 1 year ago, he said, you invited humans into the galactic community believing you had tamed us. You saw our violent history and created protocols to suppress our dangerous emotions. You thought you had domesticated our aggression. He paused, looking at the assembled aliens.